All right.
On our inaugural 10th episode, you turned the camera.
Yes.
This is very unusual.
I'm
lost.
Yeah. Can it be inaugural and the 10th episode? Isn't inaugural usually the first?
You see how much you confuse me?
Yes.
Turning the camera
already. Yeah, but 10 episodes in.
We've had more than that.
But that's true. We had some prototypes.
And also we broke down into 1, 2, I think 5th and 7th or what have you.
Yeah,
this is our 10th.
A couple
Let's
of false
agree on
start. Yeah. Okay. So there you have it.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
And
yeah.
let's thank our audience that is growing in our terms, leaps and bounds.
I'd like to thank both of you.
No, thank you very much. Our great friends, family, people who don't know us but watch us for some reason. Hopefully we're meeting
boredom.
Meeting and exceeding your expectations. Actually, we'd love to see one comment on our videos. I hope they're enabled. But we don't have comments. We have likes. We have
I think
thumbs up,
you
subscribers.
could, if you open yourself up to that, you could get some unkind comments, even from me. Self-ridicule.
That'll be very funny.
Yeah, and then my name under it.
Yes.
So when does this come off?
You know, I'm concerned that something is not doing right here.
Oh no.
Because, yeah. So I have an appointment end of this month, but anyway. You know, I'm on the other side of my life, so
okay. Whatever that means. So I something happened this week that is of great interest to me, more so than most people, and I'm speaking specifically about the jewel heist at the Louvre in Paris. Have you been?
Yes.
Okay, largest museum in the world.
Is it large?
It's the largest and most visited.
Not Hermitage?
No.
Okay.
It's the largest and most visited museum in the world, and they've got hundreds of thousands of art pieces there. And someone had the unmitigated audacity, the temerity, the unmitigated gall to break in and steal some stuff. I mean, this type of crime is a very highbrow crime.
Yes.
Art theft. It's the movies, the Bourne movies, the Bond movies, the Mission Impossible movies, Jewel Heist, Ocean's 13. It's been done in the film so much because it's a very romantic crime.
Well, it's almost, and maybe I'm speaking incorrectly, but it's a crime where there isn't a clear victim, right? If somebody burglarized, God forbid, one of our homes, we are victims. We're here. It's this rich museum that even if they have 100,000 art pieces outside, they have millions in their basements and archives. Right. So no one, I think. Didn't the famous painting by Leonardo da Vinci, Mona Lisa, become more famous when it was stolen early, I think, beginning of 20th century? I don't remember. I'm not an art... I know art fairly well, but I'm not an art historian.
You're, as an Armenian, do you have art in Armenia?
Yes, very much so. You're amazing. It's interesting. If in our audience there is an Armenian person, a guy or a gal watching, they hate you. And we love our banter. Jim has nothing but respect for every nation.
Every Armenian that I've ever met.
Even Armenians.
I just have not heard about any great Armenian artists or museums.
Armenia is a small country, so the museum size would be, congruent to the size. There are Armenian painters and composers, and the one that has an Armenian descent, and you may have heard of him, is Ayvazovsky. He is pretty famous on painting a lot of the sea and those kind of painting. He's famous worldwide.
Okay.
So admit that you know him.
I don't know him. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, but
name 3 painters.
Well,
other than Da Vinci, I already said his name.
Hey, Monet. Manet.
Mine. You're gonna go through all the vowels.
The Impressionist, and of course Rembrandt and Da Vinci. Yeah, I've got those guys, but
so back to.
So I think of someone, you've seen it depicted in the films where the guy's not stealing the art so much for the money. That is a motivator, of course, but because he loves art. The people stealing art usually love art. It's a very romanticized crime.
Okay.
They appreciate art. They know art. They know museums.
Yeah.
When you want to break in the Louvre, you just don't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to rob it. I'm going to be a burglar starting today. Let's start with the Louvre.
Right. It requires a lot of preparation work.
How do you do it? And then what are you going to do with the jewels? In this case, not paintings.
Right.
These are 8 pieces of
Napoleon.
Amazing jewelry. What do you do? You can't take it.
Did you find a diadem or some expensive diamond piece outside?
Yeah, lying in the grass. They dropped it.
Oh, just fell out of
the getaway. They dropped it, but they basically brought a truck and they had a ladder. This is in broad daylight, and the museum is full.
Yeah.
And they just went up and they used a grinder and cut through some special glass. Went right through the glass. They're out in 7 minutes. They had on yellow vests to look like maintenance men. And, but these are sophisticated people. These are not thugs,
So before we continue, and we will, I want to go off for one moment with a question to you and then come back to this. So with the events that transpired last week, and it was a little bit before last week, with the peace in Middle East between Israel and Hamas and Palestinian Authority, which was done in Egypt without presence of either of those parties, which, something to be said about current era of negotiation. However, or war in, Russia, Ukraine, and how did that one pick your interest? Because last week, Zelensky was meeting with Trump. Trump scheduled a meeting with Putin, and then that was canceled. There were conversations about Tomahawks missiles being given to Ukraine, not going to be given to Ukraine. Why did Heist pick your interest? Is it something like a childhood thing that you wanted?
Exactly. And I'll tell you, I can be more specific. I was pretty fascinated as a 4th grader, 5th grader with, say, the Kennedy assassination. Lee Harvey Oswald, that whole conspiracy thing that came. I would read about it and I was naturally interested in it. And another aspect of that was a story I read. Now, let's talk about our friend Adolf Hitler.
That's a turn.
Who was a great art lover.
He was a painter.
He was an artist as well, from Austria.
And he didn't get into the Vienna art institution. And some of the people who have a sick, like you and me, sense of humor said, if he had gotten there, perhaps, I will admit to you, I have, I know certain things in my, like my profession. I've done, some hobbies, and I have some certain interests. And one of my interests is the special history period, and also specifically history of 20th century, and more so toward, plus minus 20 years of Second World War. So I'm extremely familiar with him. But so Louvre Heist.
Well, it brought me
to your interest.
I'm telling you why it's straight to Hitler. So there was a story during World War II. I wanted to start with Hitler, a failed artist who appreciated art, not anything modern. He hated modern art, And he decided that one of the ways that they could show the world that the Germans were a superior culture was to have the greatest art museum in the world. And it was an obsession with him. So in order, he was working on the building during the war. It was going to be this huge, and it was going to be in Austria, actually. And he was working on the building, the models of that. The one detail is, where are we going to get all the art? I know. Everybody we conquer,
we'll just steal.
will take all of their fine art.
They did that in
Which
France.
they did.
They did that in Czechoslovakia. They did that in Russia. Russia meaning Soviet Union,
Yes.
Greater Russia.
And they would store the art.
Yes.
And they stored it in this mountain that was a former salt mine which had good humidity, and the paintings would live there fine.
Right.
And then at the end of the war, they loaded up this train. Now this is either folklore, but I could see it certainly being fact. And they were going to make a getaway. People were starting to get out, and they loaded up this train full of the world's most priceless art antiques. And the train got waylaid in a tunnel somewhere, and they were what happened to the mystery art train of the Nazis. And I read this story that really captured my imagination as a kid. And so, art theft and the Nazi plunder, if you will, was always just something I thought was really interesting. And so when I saw this topic, I thought, who are the people that would have the balls, shall we say, to do such a thing in modern? The security has got to be unbelievable. But not really.
So, I have so many comments. Of course, you threw me a little bit off
with
kilter
with the Nazi plunder.
Hitler, right? I mean, just right in there. But so you mentioned Kennedy's assassination, which was also apparently a sidebar comment. But you mentioned the word conspiracy. Interestingly enough, there are conspiracy theorists, and I do have. We can actually have an episode on conspiracy theories, just to talk about them, because there are a lot of, and some of them are modern times.
Sure.
Some people even talk about Charlie Kirk's assassination, that we had an episode on that, with some of the question marks there.
I know.
We're not going there. It was just a commentary for perhaps for the future. However, one of the conspiracy theories is that Adolf Schicklgruber, which is Hitler's actual last name, allegedly did not kill himself, and he had many duplicates. What do you call them in English?
Imposters.
No, that's not the word I'm looking for. But the people who look like him, who would be
a doppelganger. No, that's wrong too. That's someone that does look like you.
Right.
But
and allegedly he was not dead in 1945, as history says, and allegedly that the burned remains that were found, and they're still in
the bunker,
secret archives in Moscow or suburbia of Moscow, that the DNA test allegedly, I keep using the word allegedly not to get that they were female DNA, and allegedly he lived for many decades after that in Argentina.
Yes.
Now, to be fair, Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, a couple other countries, lovely place to spend their time with family. But there were several mid to high ranking Nazi party leaders who actually escaped there.
Right. Yeah.
So, including Eichmann, who was one of the authors, or what I don't even know what to call it. I mean, evil human being, but of the Final Solution. And that's when Mossad, that's a very famous story of how they actually got him from Argentina into Israel. And one small historical fact about Israel, he was the only person who's been given capital punishment in modern Israel, modern meaning from 1948.
Really?
Yeah. So, but about Hitler and the cynical story thing about him is that if he had gotten into his art occupation, perhaps the Führer would not be, right?
Perhaps, yeah.
So coming back, appreciate now, your comment about current heist that transpired last week. Hitler comment, and then your fascination. Somebody will connect those dots. Hopefully our audience will just increase it. In the description I will put Jim loves Hitler.
Well, I think that we're talking about art thieves.
Yeah.
And the greatest art thief of all time was Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, Nazis, yeah.
Okay, because he wanted his greed.
It's interesting, if we have Brits watching the show, it may rough them a little bit, but greatest art thieves in history would be British Empire. British Empire, because throughout centuries, the collection of the son never went down on British Empire until, let's just call 1950, right?
Right.
A little bit later, but the point is, that's fine.
So they spent a long time pillaging and looting.
Yes.
And the Nazis was confined.
10 years.
Yeah, okay.
So, but your point stands. It wasn't a correction. It was just an attempt to show some smartness and maybe inadvertently insult.
Well, as I said, I think that the trade of a jewel thief is very romanticized.
Yeah.
It's someone that loves art, yet wants to make the money.
You threw me off with that comment. I wanted to react when you said it first time, that the art thief is the one who appreciates, perhaps, but for them, they may not be the keepers of it. They most likely have somebody who wants to buy that.
Right. Well, that's what they call the fence or the middleman,
right.
The person that's going to buy the ill-gotten goods. Now, once again, these are jewels, so you could, I guess, break up one of these extravagant necklaces into
Sure.
lots of pieces and then sell them off.
Right.
Here and there.
It loses the value, obviously.
Yeah, but
a 100-carat diamond can have astronomical value, but if you break it into...
what can you do? You can't walk into a pawn shop and throw down, Napoleon's necklace and go, "What do you give me for this?" It's virtually priceless. It
is. I mean, there is a price tag to it, but your point is absolutely right. It's priceless. So they must have had people or person or some that would say, "We will buy that."
Before.
Because, as you said, it wasn't they woke up that morning saying, "Hey, Jim, we should rob something. How about that bank? That neighbor's store?" No, look, no.
Yeah. That
requires preparation. That requires a lot of, clock and dagger work, understanding security cameras, what, when, how, all that.
Especially in the daytime.
There is something to be said about daytime. It's I think the adage is, if you want something in your house be not so obvious to thieves, put it in the most visible place. So I would venture to guess, and I don't know this for a fact, that security in Louvre is far higher after its closing than when the people are there. So there could be some, reverse notation about the timing that people don't expect that to happen at a time, which doesn't make it any easier.
No.
But still, I'm still, I gotta say, you got me with the Hitler comment. That was really good.
When in doubt,
really bad, but it was really good.
When in doubt, go with Hitler. But the whole thing of the mountain filled with hundreds of thousands of priceless pieces, treasure. It kind of goes into the bigger treasure hunting thing. That fascinates you as a kid. I remember when I was young, there was a guy off of Key West. His last name's Fisher, as a matter of fact. I thought that was ironic. And he was searching for a Spanish galleon.
Yes.
And it was called the Atocha. It was full of priceless gold and silver and stuff from Spain. And it's somewhere right off. And he was looking for it. Is this, and he found it.
He found
it.
Oh, wow.
And then the state of Florida stepped in and said, "Wait a minute, that's ours." And he sued them and took them to the Supreme Court. Took 8 years and won.
Really?
Yeah.
So did he get a finder's fee, or he found so he's the owner? Like, what was the arrangement?
Well, you would think, I could see how Florida would say those are our waters. Right. Spain might want it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, but I know that his company, whatever it was called, won the case.
Interesting.
So the salvage rights and, treasure hunters, if they find it, do they get to keep it? All this kind of stuff. But I just thought that's what I want to do. I want to, find buried treasure hidden in the world,
that's probably every adolescent's dream, right? You start digging and suddenly this.
And you find a cache of something extraordinary. I told my mom about it, and I said, maybe if I could find a way for that to be a job, and in Egypt or something, and she said, you don't want to do that. You want to be, I think she thought, you need to be a doctor or a lawyer or work at a bank or something in order to be successful. Those are the only three ways.
Right.
And so she says, you don't want to be, an archaeologist. I mean, those people don't make any money, which I think is a mistake to discourage a kid from anything they show any interest in.
There is a fine, I agree with you, but there is probably a fine line, because as kids, imagine if God listened to all our prayers as kids and he actually gave us what we wanted, we probably would not live past 20.
We would all be race car drivers.
or firemen.
Or, that type of thing.
Or space.
Astronauts. Number one.
I was going to say cosmonaut, then
okay.
The Russian word.
Yeah, astronauts number one. So that would.
So that's why, so there is a balancing act. So your mom's suggestion, I mean, you've had a very successful life.
Well, she just said get a real job.
Right.
You don't want to be an archeologist.
And you've been very successful in your career.
Yeah, but was it as exciting as going through the pyramids and finding?
Here is what I will tell you.
Tutankhamun's. Yeah.
I think a lot of the exciting occupations are probably far more exciting from outside than when you're in there with a little toothbrush at the 105 degree temperature day after day, scrubbing this little piece of rock to see if there is a writing on it from
tedious,
very extremely. It's like, even let's take some intelligence services, right? CIA, FSB, KGB, right? You look at that work and you picture, James Bond walks in and says something incredibly marvelous and intelligent, and voila, either the woman is his, and I'm talking, maybe a little chauvinistic, I'm talking about men spy, or he immediately hooks up the person and that person becomes his, information source. 85% of jobs inside those agencies are tedious paperwork jobs. Only like a single percentage, maybe under 5, are those people, and even their jobs within those ranks are. So my point is, I agree with your mom.
If you walked into the CIA, FBI, British intelligence, and said, a big office, and said, how many of you jumped out of a helicopter today, firing indiscriminately at bad guys? How many people would raise their hand? Probably no one. I mean, so to your point, it's not as fun as you might think.
The sex appeal of some of those jobs are, we only see maybe a tip of the iceberg at best, especially in movies, especially made in Hollywood and what have you. So MI5, MI6, British counterintelligence, amateur intelligence. Right. You see some of those movies where they, just incredibly, three-piece suit and, cufflinks, and they walk in and voila.
Yeah, probably not. So what do you think about, back to the Louvre?
I was curious how back you want to go, like 1940s or back to last week?
Well, we're back at the Louvre, and I think that the biggest instigators are Save the Planet people. Okay, so the Save the Planet people want to make a point, and they want a media hit. So they'll go in there and throw a jar of mustard at Mona Lisa.
Yes, just to get attention, for their message to be heard.
Yes.
Now, are you suggesting that perhaps the heist was part of the attention? I think it's money driven.
No, I first of all, who would do that? I mean, we're going to try and they try and ruin these pieces, with whatever they're throwing at the wall, and then they sit down, handcuff themselves to something.
You're back to the
to bring attention to themselves, and then they put these priceless works of art. They're actually throwing mustard at it. I'm sure that the Louvre has thought of everything, but obviously not. If you can just put a ladder up here and go through the window and grab all these and get out, I mean, hello, security.
Yeah, that was somewhat strange that that could happen. So I want to say word easily, but we don't know how much preparation went into
7 minutes they were in and out.
Preparation work, right? It was it a month, 6 months, a year?
It could
it could be even longer. One of them, I'm talking just hypothesizing. One of them could have been a former employee. Right? Insider, of course. Yeah. I mean, you got to have some, like if you and I decided to let's just play this out, right? Rob Louvre. Where do we start? So we know it's in Paris.
Well,
we probably both have been inside
yeah.
many years ago.
Yeah.
The end. Right?
Right.
We don't even know the hours of operation. We wouldn't know where to. So it requires some intelligence. I'm not talking about spyware, but intelligence of understanding what you're getting into.
Right.
And then the whole aspect of security, cameras, face recognition. With the current day of technology, right? You have no idea. The Windows alarm. It just so.
It goes on and on.
Yeah.
Regarding the logistics, what is it? The place is humongous.
Yeah. What was the stat? If you want to see everything in Louvre, was it 3 days or a week?
Probably, because it's the largest museum in the world. They have well over 300,000 pieces there. So, what is it we want to grab?
It has to be targeted.
Okay,
it's not random.
And then what do we do with it if we get it?
It's planned. I'm talking like as if I know.
Yeah.
It's just on a gut level, right? Every instinct in my body says that they know what they're going for, and they know where it's gonna go to after that. Now, the danger there is being a middleman. It's like the danger of being maybe an assassin. That sometimes they don't survive because those are the ones who possess the information on both ends, right? How it happened and who got it. So that there could be that element of danger. But it's fascinating that you have this piece meaning Louvre, right? This place that everybody in the world, most people know about this. Now, out of people, how many people do you think heard about this heist? 1 billion?
Oh, I think it's been
2 billion?
Topical around the world.
Let's go with 3 billion.
It could be
3 billion.
Yeah.
I think there is only one person out of those 3 billion who heard about the heist and then used Hitler's name.
Well, I'm just saying that the greatest art thief of all time is Hitler.
You know what? Let me end the Hitler topic with a funny aspect to it, as it could be, right?
Yeah, so much of his history is funny.
One of my hobbies is branding and advertisement. And a joke goes that the country that has done the greatest job on branding is Austria. Because they convinced the world that Hitler is German and Mozart is Austrian. And historically, Hitler is Austrian and Mozart German.
Yeah.
So, Schicklgruber was in Austria. Okay, and this is not a test of intelligence. Do you know why he had a mustache like this?
I know.
So he was in World War I, and he had a very rich mustache. But in World War I, as you know, chemical weapons were quite popular, for lack of better, and he couldn't put a mask on to protect fully, so he had to cut off his mustache, so it became the Hitler mustache. Now, little that the guy knew that after long he has gone, the Hitler mustache would be referred to something completely different. Okay, we're gonna stop.
Yeah.
You're gonna pretend it.
No one knows what that is, but yeah, I love that type of worthless information of why was the mustache the way it is. That's the kind of information I love. Just
I'm a source of worthless information.
Trivia
It's trivia.
Well, it's trivia. Yeah, but I still want to find the Nazi train in that tunnel. I want to be the guy that stumbles in with a lantern, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, and there it is, and I'm like, I knew it.
Yeah, he's probably sitting in some government's, not the person in charge of the government, but in some government's archives that is under levels of secrecy that even current leader of the government may not know about that.
Did you know that there is a Hebrew or Jewish agency that's out there that is active today trying to retrieve Jewish heritage?
Absolutely. Because in Swiss banks, allegedly, again, we don't know for a fact, there are a lot of conceivably Jewish
historical items
that have been placed there, and now they're without a trace. They could have been placed by them or by Nazis who have taken that from them. But yes, there is an agency that is chasing that down. And,
well, they were chasing down Nazis.
Well, yeah, they still,
that's another group, I think. And then, but this particular one is interested in Jewish historical items and heritage.
Absolutely.
They want it back.
You know, it's if somebody who has a very wide imagination started listening to our conversation, our inaugural 10th, our 10th episode, and you started with a Paris heist, they would have never guessed that they would go on the entire spectrum from Hitler to Jewish, right? It shows what a brilliant mind you have and a great partner.
I guess. I think those two things often come up together.
Of course.
You know,
unfortunately,
sadly. But it's all tied into back to the fact that the art world is so coveted, you know, by people trying to make money off of it, and beyond that, there's one, like in the movies I have seen, you know, people that, you know, they're artists or they appreciate art and they want to possess it, the art.
Yeah.
They don't want money for it. They just want to possess it.
Imagine for a moment, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but let's say you have 10 billion, $50 billion. So you got the houses, homes, estates, a yacht, you know, 200, 300 meter or whatever, you know, feet, 600 feet yacht. Okay. So you got, what do you get? Right? Actually, another silly thing, you know, if you had $50 billion in the bank, and the market went down, and now you're down to 40 billion. Did you lose any money?
You wouldn't notice.
Yeah, but no. So for them, some timeless pieces, whatever the timeless definition for them could be. Let's say we can all agree that Mona Lisa is timeless piece. Right?
Sure.
So something like that to possess.
Yes.
It almost kind of you know, because the money in the bank is right. We just said they just lost $10 billion on the books. They didn't lose any money. So money becomes nothing for them.
Right.
Houses and estates, they have it, you know, all over. So also, you know, and probably they haven't been in one, you know, for years.
Right.
So how do you become, you know, just this? It could be self-fulfilling. It could be also to some of your friends, right? Hey, Jimmy, look what I have. You know, I have Picasso, Ayvazovsky. I want to say that name one more time for you to remember.
Yeah.
And, you know, Da Vinci, originals hanging. Right?
Yeah.
Because honestly, some of the copies you can get for 1/10,000th of the price, and they'll be virtually impossible to put apart from but you have the original.
Yeah.
And well, there is something to be said if you wanted to invest. Not that those rich people need investment, but that art will never lose value, ever. It does not.
That's right.
Right. So there is something to be said about, actually, interestingly enough, and I'm not into cryptocurrency at all, but something to be said about Bitcoin. That in theory, and I have I've done some research on this. Again, I'm not invested. I don't know much about it, but in theory, it shouldn't lose value because it has a finite number, 11 million. So, and I emphasize theory because I did some calculating hypothesis on how could it lose value. But if it was the cryptocurrency only, right, the only one, then it will never lose value because it has a finite to it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 11 million, period. After that, it stops.
Yeah.
Because, you know, dollar or euro or you know, any other currency, ruble in Russia, you can print until you're blue in the face, which we pretty successfully doing.
Very devalued.
By the way, I think last week or this week, another factoid, in addition to heist, I think our national debt reached $38 trillion. First time ever.
Sounds like a lot.
I know. I think I think if it was 500 billion, people would worry more.
Yeah, it's more tangible.
It's still not, but at least the word billion.
Yeah.
You can't relate to it, but you can understand. Well, Zuckerberg is a billionaire, Musk is a billionaire, right? So 500 billion sounds like a lot. But when it's 38 trillion, like what is trillion?
You might as well say gazillion.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't really have a value.
Yeah.
It's beyond that.
So I'm sorry, I know I deviated from the topic.
Whatever the topic was.
Well, Heist, Hitler.
Well,
No, your last one was something about getting that art into that piece.
Yeah,
right?
to possess it is more important. Now, I'm not suggesting that these art thieves. I have no doubt that they're going to break it up and they want the money. They're not going to treasure it and possess it.
No,
they just want the money and everything like that. But as I said, it's been romanticized, the art thief, and in some of the films, you see that the guy stealing it is a connoisseur of fine art and appreciates it and wants it not only for its monetary value, but wants to possess it. And that's the allure of what we're talking about, these amazing historical paintings and stuff.
And I think my slight speculation also stays that for people who hear about that, it's sort of, again, in double quotes, victimless crime versus, let's say, breaking into...
I doubt the Louvre would agree with you.
No. I'm talking about why those movies are, so if we were watching a movie and 4 armed men break into a house, tie up the house owners. Let's even say they didn't even kill them, and they get all this expensive stuff from a house and they leave. You have the victims, you have the family.
Right.
Here, it's kind of, again, that's why I use the double quotes. I don't like when people do this, so I'm going to do this. As victimless, because of course their victims could be even, you could argue that it's even more victim crime because you're depriving public and history of.
Who owns it?
Actually, that's an interesting question. Would that be French government, or the museum, or some kind of a society that is above, not conspiracy, but like above the museum? Because let me dumb it down so I can understand. Who owns Louvre?
It's French government.
So then government.
But back to we've had so many early points that went nowhere. The Brit, let's say that in London, whatever museum they have there that houses, antiquity, the highest level.
Right.
Who owns that? Well, how did they get it? To your point, they took it. And isn't there someone that wants it back? I don't know.
Yes, and I think that there is the reason I'm indicating this one is because I read something about this recently in the last few weeks or months, that Indian government is in some asking Brits on certain
negotiating. And sometimes that works.
Now, what's interesting is crossed my mind that in Louvre or Hermitage or some other large museum, the piece could potentially be owned by an individual or a family, let's say the Koch family or Walmart family,
and donated.
Walton, and then they let them borrow it because it almost serves many purposes. One is more secure, which is a question mark,
maybe.
Right? It's well kept, and then also the credit goes too, so it becomes like it's ours, right? So there is maybe that. But that's an interesting one. And then the other question will become: is it insured? Right? And if it is, then there will be a very interesting, because I remember reading and seeing in some movies that if we were to steal that and we have some possession of that, because then now we can offload that and also get the insurance money for that. So there is a little bit of that chess game. This was good, Jim.
Topical yet
Well, I mean, all over the map, literally.
Literally, internationally, all over the
map. Did not close any of those points, didn't bring home any of those points.
No.
But hopefully it will create some curiosity for the folks who are going to hear this. Wouldn't it be cool if our audience just grows and grows? Not for monetary side, which would be also awesome. By the way, donate some money. No, don't.
We don't want the money, we just want to possess them.
I think
like art.
Do you remember in our conversation when I said that there are two of the deadly sins that I can probably be guilty of easily: vanity and greed.
Yeah.
Right. So this will be the vanity.
Yeah.
That'll be really cool. A redneck and immigrant being interviewed on Fox News.
Well, interesting. You should choose Fox News.
Well, kind of redneck and immigrant sort of.
Why don't we start with a smaller
Atlanta local Alpharetta news station.
NPR or some little, niche thing? We could start there, but it just depends on what you want out of it.
What I want is for us to continue our rendezvous, which I enjoy every second of it. I hope people who are watching us enjoying some of it as much as you and I enjoy our conversation. I really enjoy our friendship that goes 15 years plus. But I think, and also I think your beautiful wife said this, that and she said it in I don't know if she was in a moment of amusement or like kind of like, do you guys realize? Again, it was in a moment, so I'm taking completely out of context.
Yeah.
This will stay for a long time after we're gone, right? This will be out there. Now, it might just die on a vein.
Yeah,
Fine. But it's there. It's cool.
Now, I think she was mentioning this in the context of you guys are dead. And your children will be able to resurrect a moment.
I didn't go into mortality of it. I wanted to go into...
It's immortality.
That was my project 10 years ago.
I know.
One day we'll talk about it. But listen, let's agree that one of our upcoming conversations, next one after, what have you, let's talk about conspiracy theories, because I've spent way too much time looking into them. Some of them I have questions about myself, and I would love for us to have a conversation. Some of them we actually discussed with some of our friends, and it's interesting. I'm gonna keep them nameless, but they will both know who I'm talking about. But one is very intrigued by conspiracy theories. He's not a foilhead. He's smarter than you and I. He's normal. The other one also smarter than you and I. He goes more, cuts through them and has very, very skeptical, to lack of better, almost legal, if you know what I mean, mind about them, right? But I would like to discuss, right? We can start with the one that all agree that it has some questions, like JFK assassination, right?
9/11.
We can talk about 9/11, right? We can bring it all the way back as recent times to Charlie Kirk. Again, we're not going to discuss is it true or not, but to me, what's intriguing about conspiracy theory, and I'll say this as a closing one because I think we're going way over time, is that to me, conspiracy theory, so-called, and by the way, I know where the word conspiracy is coming from. It's actually interesting. I think it was invented right at JFK assassination time, because the conspiracy became as an alternative to main topic. But to me, if you are prohibited to ask questions about the event, to me it has like, why can't I? Right? And that gives me more, not necessarily reasons to believe into conspiracy theory, but reasons to say what, like, because if I said, for example, and I'm crossing line into that episode, the earth is flat, right? And that'll be my conspiracy theory, no one will care. But if I have some questions about like a horrific event of 9/11, potentially, and again, this is based on reading and researching, right? Suddenly like, you shouldn't be, why are you asking? Well, you become almost a little bit ostracized by COVID, right? You had people on one camp saying this is man-made, and it happened to be a man eating a bat, and I'm trying to be a little bit, facetious, in a city in a country where the lab that was doing that kind of a research out of many places in the world. Right? So, question. But once you start talking about that, people get either extremely defensive, and you become something with a label, right? And that raises a question mark. But let's talk about
that's something to think about.
Also, we've had number of people, including people who are very close to us, especially to you,
ask us to
maybe have them present. So we should think about maybe inviting. We probably need to think about how maybe we can have them on a Zoom or whatever the method of video call is here on the laptop or iPad, whatever, and they are part of the conversation. We can invite them, obviously, but that could be more conducive where somebody like, Dr. Alan Hunt, if he agrees to come from his patrician league into our plebeian.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the most efficient way would be, but the technology is obviously there. We just have to find a way to use it. So let's put a bookmark here and go.
Thank you very much for, if you've gotten to this point from heist to all the other historical
Went from
topics.
art heist
All right, alternative
to Austria.